Playing your ad, Matt. You're welcome. First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Unfortunately, we now know that we are not getting a KTM 490 Adventure to replace the extremely popular 390 Adventure. And I'm not sure that we ever really were going to get one. To explain why, let's take a look back at the facts and the speculation surrounding the KTM 490 Adventure. In October of 2019, KTM CEO Stefan Pierre, and I'm sure that was mispronounced, my apologies, in an interview with Cycle News mentioned that a 500cc class bike would be coming. Now, it was speculated that this would be a 490 Adventure, a 490 Duke, an RC 490, all of them. And he specifically stated that this bike would be designed and manufactured by Bajaj in India, which was surprising because at this point in time, Bajaj was only known for single-cylinder bikes like the 390 line. Now, in December of 2019, a shareholder prospectus was leaked, and this showed us a blurred image of a bike listed under 490 and Adventure Travel. And then all hell broke loose on the internet. We were all waiting for this bike. In June of 2020, we got the next bit of official news where it was announced that Bajaj would be creating this bike in their Pune, India factory. And then in September of 2020, in an interview with Lipaire, an online motorcycle site in French, Google Translate, the CEO came out and stated that the 490 was still expected for the 2022 model year. Unfortunately, at this point, things get very quiet out of KTM. When they announced the 2022 bikes, there were no 490 bikes on it at all. This is the point where nearly 2.5 years ago, KTM goes silent on the 490 product line. The end of facts and the beginning of speculation from this point on. In the final months of 2020, every moto site that posts anything about KTM is now doing speculation pieces. Virtually the same article repeated all over the internet with no new information other than what was released in 2019 and 2020. Many of these include computer renders of the 490 Adventure bike, and they are laughably bad. Essentially what we have is a Photoshop of the 790 Adventure with the fuel tank moved from down below up to where they would be on a 390 Adventure. It hardly seems worth the effort. And I think at this point, when even the journalists have given up, we all, as people following the bike, people hoping for the bike, probably should have given up and said, this is the point here in 2022. The bike was due to come out. It's never been prototyped. No one's ever gotten a spy shot. This bike is dead. This bike is not going to be produced. And honestly, it really shouldn't have been a surprise. Other than 2 or 3 official comments from KTM and one blurry shot that was obviously not a real bike, there never was anything to the 490 except for a hope, a dream, a potential product that may have been sold, and KTM let it die very quickly. Despite no solid evidence of the bike ever existing as anything more than a piece of paper shown to some investors to drum up potential happiness for investors, which is really important for any public company, many of us did hold out hope that this bike, despite it being nothing but rumors and speculation, would in some form by some company be produced. The most recent rumors were that the manufacturing would be moved from Bajaj to CF Moto in China, which did make some sense as CF Moto does have a 400cc engine that they could put in a 490 Adventure. However, it didn't really seem realistic that a bike designed by Bajaj would be moved to China and produced by CF Moto. There is a tremendous amount of pride in India over the 390 platform, and to me that just seems like something that was not going to happen given how much KTM stock Bajaj owns. This brings us up to the present, where unfortunately just a few days ago Motorrad came out and said, after talking to the CEO, that the 490 platform across the board, including the 490 Adventure, is not happening. The explanation they gave makes a lot of sense. The bike cannot be produced at scale profitably. And you're a public company. If you cannot profit off of a product, you do not produce that product. That said, it's disappointing that we really did not hear about this significantly sooner. In all likelihood, KTM knew this bike, this platform, was not going to be profitable and therefore not produced quite some time ago. I would argue that it's certainly more than a year ago, because when they started producing variants to the 390 platform instead of producing prototypes for the 490 platform, we all should have caught on, but it would have been great if they had looked at us and said, hey guys, we know this bike is anticipated, we know this entire platform is anticipated, but it's just not in the cards. Something else will come along. Unfortunately, that really leaves those of us that absolutely love our small adventure bikes without a replacement for the 390 when the time comes, or without something to move to when we want just a little bit more. As someone who's owned a 390 Adventure and put a lot of miles on it, this leaves me very disappointed. I certainly would have been racing ADV Matt to the KTM dealership to put down my deposit, and I know a lot of you would have been as well. I'm sure many 390 owners are now going to be looking for, what bike do I move to next? And unfortunately, realistically, there's not going to be anything in the weight range or the size range coming out in the near future. Interestingly, just 2 days before the announcement was made that the bike would be canceled, I made the following comment on an ADV Matt video about the 490 Adventure possibly coming out. Wow, an unskippable ad at the beginning. Thanks a lot, Matt. Okay, here we go. I see a $9,999 hole in the KTM lineup. The spread between the 390 and the 890 is huge, and there needs to be a bike there. The 690 out today is a dual sport, and it really does not fill that space. Eventually something has to. Honestly, at this point, I would prefer a 590 or a 690 parallel twin. An engine designed with a little more longevity than the single we have now. So, I should go play the lottery. I definitely saw this bike coming. So unfortunately, KTM is never going to fulfill our dream of a 490 Adventure, and it's probably for the best. If the bike came out and it was priced like a Tenere, we would all scream and not buy it. If they cut costs to bring the bike out where we would expect it, around $7,000, it would probably not be a great bike, and we would scream and complain. So, goodbye to the dream of the 490 Adventure. Hello to the dream of the 690 Adventure. I certainly hope this one comes to fruition, and I hope it's not too expensive. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I appreciate it, and take care.